Live from London, this is The World Today.
Hello, I'm Robin Dwyer. Welcome to the programme. Our top stories. China's President Xi Jinping pledges more financial support for the Belt and Road Initiative as he opens the third forum. Beating expectations, China's economy grows more than expected in the third quarter, keeping it on track for the full-year target. Devastation and grief in Gaza after a strike on Al-Ahli hospital that's killed at least 471 people and injured many more. Questions over who was responsible for the deadly strike. Israel blames the Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant group. It says Israel carried it out. President Xi Jinping has delivered a keynote speech to the Belt and Road Forum in Beijing as China announces it will inject another $11 billion into the project. Our correspondent Zhao Yunfei reports.
It's Beijing's moment as the Chinese capital welcomes world leaders, charting the course for the common good. Chinese President Xi Jinping shared his vision of cooperation between countries under the Belt and Road framework.
We have learned that humankind is a community with a shared future. China can only do well when the world is doing well. When China does well, the world will get even better. Through Belt and Road cooperation, China is opening its door even wider to the world. An additional 80 billion yuan will be injected into the Silk Road Fund. Together, they will support BRI projects on the basis of market and business operation.
The Belt and Road Initiative has not just focused on infrastructure and trade. Cooperation has expanded to new industries such as healthcare, low-carbon energy, the digital economy, and innovation. The meeting hall is flanked by the flags of participating countries. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China's friend circle has become larger, and the initiative has brought a new path for the world to realize modernization.
The modernization we are pursuing is not for China alone, but for all developing countries through our joint efforts. Global modernization should be pursued to enhance peaceful development and mutually beneficial cooperation, and bring prosperity to all.
The Chinese president first announced the initiative during official visits to Kazakhstan and Indonesia in 2013. A decade of endeavor has left tangible outcomes. China has signed over 230 cooperation documents with more than 150 countries and 30 international organizations.
Without infrastructure, including infrastructure, there can be no development. And without development support, many developing countries will be starved of the infrastructure they desperately need. Infrastructure is the foundation of everyday life for people and economies.
The Belt and Road Initiative has brought far-reaching global impact in the past 10 years. This gathering has carried on the foundation, taking the friendship to the next level for the common development and prosperity. Zhao Yunfei, CGTN, Beijing.
China's President Xi Jinping has held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin during the Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation. President Xi emphasized Russia's significance as a key partner in the Belt and Road Initiative in projects like the China-Russia East Route natural gas pipeline. He said China is committed to deeper regional cooperation, aligning the Belt and Road Initiative with the Eurasian Economic Union. The Belt and Road Initiative has developed new trade routes connecting China with the rest of the world. CGTN's correspondent Wang Qiwei looks at what the BRI means for Europe.
Europe is an important part of the Belt and Road Initiative, with 27 countries signing up. Under the initiative, China has helped to build or invest in key infrastructure projects, including Greece's largest port, Piraeus. Each year, it serves around 16 million passengers and handles about 5 million cargo containers. In Croatia, the Pelješac Bridge opened last year, linking the country's mainland to the southern peninsula. And a major railway connecting Serbia and Hungary is also under construction, cutting travel time between the two countries' capitals by more than half. It's not only about building infrastructure. The Belt and Road Initiative includes a huge railway network linking China to more than 200 cities in 25 European countries. It's transforming the way goods are moved between the two continents. In the climate crisis, with air travel much criticized, this is much more environmentally friendly, cheaper than air travel, and quicker than going by sea. In the past decade, more than 78,000 train journeys have been made using this network to transport over 7 million containers. The Belt and Road Initiative is also strengthening cultural links between China and Europe. For example, Luban workshops are to be found in several European countries and named after an ancient Chinese craftsman. It's a vocational training program which offers a range of courses from mechanical and electrical engineering to cooking. And there have been art exhibitions as well, along with scholarship programs that have brought international students from Europe to China. Trade and global connections are vital to the world economy, even through periods of geopolitical turmoil. China and more than 150 countries see the Belt and Road as playing a large role in that bigger picture.
Well, as part of that engagement with Europe, Chinese companies are setting up shop in Slovakia or expanding existing businesses there. CGTN's Alyosha Milenkovic reports.
Inside this brand new layered factory building, hundreds of LED panels are made every day. And each one of them has to pass through the hands of a number of workers before it is packed and shipped to the customer.
Here are the building blocks for the huge LED panels you can see almost everywhere these days. And the demand for those is so overwhelming that the factory needs to work 24/7.
Up to 200 highly skilled workers created the display panels that end up on the walls of the buildings in Europe and the United States, earning the company around $80 million a year. It is a reason for pride even here in Slovakia's parliament, where its speaker praised the company's success as a step in the right direction for the expansion of Sino-Slovak relations.
I think that in order to move these relations forward, we must not play politics and see China as some kind of enemy, but as a partner. Slovakia clearly recognizes the One China principle. That needs to be said, and I want to say it here on camera as well.
Slovakia may be small, but it has a strong industrial base and also a government that is prepared to offer its support to foreign investors.
We have a good cooperation with Slovakian government and they are supporting us. And even for the employee, even for the investment to the new technology, and we are in close cooperation continuously with them about the support for the R&D and other activities we are planning to do here in Slovakia.
Right now, the Slovakian factory only makes products developed at its headquarters in China. But that could be about to change, with plans to create a new department in charge of product development. That would mean more investment, more jobs for Slovakia's highly skilled workforce, and more money flowing into state budget. Alyosha Milenkovic, CGTN, Prešov.
Jeffrey Sachs is an economist and director of the Centre for Sustainable Development at Columbia University. I've been talking to him about 10 years of the Belt and Road Initiative.
Well, it's a very important initiative, and it's an initiative that will grow in importance. Basically, China is saying that the world should be interconnected with modern infrastructure, and that China is ready to provide significant financing for that. And what the Belt and Road is doing is spreading fast rail, fiber, renewable energy. And of course, it makes sense for China. China's a low-cost provider of this infrastructure, and it is a saving surplus nation, meaning that it has more saving than it invests domestically.
So a low-cost provider may be, but in total, an enormous amount of money has been spent on this, hasn't it? $1 trillion so far. Has it been worth it for China and for the world?
I think that it's going to prove its results. In my view, investments have a long return, especially infrastructure investments. Many places now have reliable electricity that did not have that before. Many places have fast rail and transport of other means that did not have that before. Many places are moving to renewable energy that did not have that before. I think also the quality of the investment projects is rising. There's more thought going into the types of investments that are needed, especially green and digital investments in the future. So this is a very big, bold program. It brings together more than 100 countries. It basically aims to help build the infrastructure for a global network. So it's going to take time. I think that it will have a significant positive payoff for the world.
So we've seen a change in the kind of projects, perhaps, that the Belt and Road Initiative encompasses. The financial climate has changed too since the launch of the project. What impact has that had?
Well, the world's had a very shaky several years, that's for sure, with the COVID, with the war in Ukraine, with the tensions between the United States and China, now with the war in the Middle East. This is not an easy environment to make long-term investments. And of course, the United States has led much of the Western world to denigrate the Belt and Road Initiative, to badmouth it. I think this is mainly propaganda, in my opinion. It's not really based on merit. Rather, I would have hoped, and I still hope, that the West would join with China in building this infrastructure because it's good for the whole world.
China says it's confident it can achieve this year's 5% GDP target. Official data shows third quarter growth beat expectations at 4.9%. At the same time, consumption showed a strong recovery with 5.5% growth in September, up nearly 1 percentage point from last month. It comes after the Chinese government implemented a series of policies to stimulate consumption and boost market confidence. But the property market sector remains weak as investment dropped more than 9% from January to September. You're watching CGTN. Still ahead, we'll be in Gaza and Tel Aviv for the latest on the conflict. After that, overnight strike on Al Ahli Hospital.
Ever wondered what's the difference between a bear and a bull market? Where are the cash cows? And who are the lame ducks? And what exactly are black swans? Grey rhinos? And unicorn companies? Make sense of it all with Global Business, only on CGTN.
I think it should be more global cooperation.
I would like to hear more the voice of the developing countries.
Globalization has lifted more than 1 billion people out of poverty.
The green transition has to happen. It's a necessity.
Well, China and the United States are important powers in the world.
What unites us is much more than what divides us. And I believe China is committed to this agenda.
Join me, Juliet Mann, to set the agenda at these times every weekend on CGTN.
We're stepping out of the studio to take you on a brand new journey along the Belt and Road.
With a mission to record how the initiative has changed lives and livelihoods.
We travel to over 20 countries.
Мы ведем репортажи из Алматы, Казахстан, от Дубая, aux Émirats Arabes Unis, desde las calles de Rio de Janeiro, للمشاريع في Dhaka, Bangladesh. We document not only infrastructure along the Belt and Road countries, but also cultural links that bound the community with a shared future. stories of how they promote growth and improve lives.
We invite you only on our special series of the New Silk Road.
Welcome back. A reminder of our headlines. China's President Xi Jinping pledges more financial support for the Belt and Road Initiative as he opens the third forum. Beating expectations, China's economy grows more than expected in the third quarter, keeping it on track for the full-year target. The Palestinian Health Authority says at least 471 people have been killed in the strike on Al-Ahli Hospital in Gaza. It says another 28 people are in critical condition. Authorities in the besieged enclave say Israel was behind the strike on Tuesday night, but Israel blames a failed rocket launch by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant group, something it denies. People were taking refuge at the hospital from the ongoing Israeli bombardment when the strike hit. The United Nations has called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, something reiterated by China, who condemned the strike. Well, let's talk to our correspondent in Gaza, Noor Harazin. So, Noor, give us an update on the situation where you are now.
Well, the latest is that the doctors said that they will not be able to treat those who are with critical injuries, not only the people who arrived from the hospital attack, but also any injury that arrives to the hospital with a critical condition. They are not able to treat it because of the shortage of the medicine and medical supplies. Doctors in the Al-Shifa hospital and also here at Shuhada Al-Aqsa hospital said that they could barely treat those with some cuts and also burns. People who are taking shelter in different hospitals around the Gaza Strip started to flee these hospitals. They are afraid that Israel might launch a airstrike on these shelters, especially that we have been witnessing Israeli airstrikes on also UN schools, residential buildings and also mosques. Here where I'm standing in Shuhada Al-Aqsa hospital, and over the past hour we have been seeing ambulances that are carrying injuries and people who were killed in Israeli airstrikes in southern Gaza in cities like Al-Nusayrat and also Al-Maghazi. The humanitarian situation here in Gaza is deteriorating. The people have barely any access to food and water. Let us get back just real quick to the hospital case because there was several statements from Hamas and also the Islamic Jihad, and all of them, these Palestinian militant factions said that Israel is manipulating the fact that it attacked the Al-Ahli hospital in a way after they saw the international condemn over this attack that left more than 470 people killed. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, the death toll here in Gaza is up to 3,300 people.
And Noor, have you got any update for us on the likelihood of humanitarian aid coming in through the Rafah border crossing?
Well, the one certain thing that we know is that there is trucks from Egypt loaded with humanitarian aid for Palestinians here in Gaza that have been waiting for days on the Egyptian side of the border. However, Egypt still did not open the Rafah border yet. Foreigners here in Gaza and also those who are Palestinian and hold other nationalities have been going and heading to the Rafah border over the past days after their embassies called them and told them that the Rafah border will be open. However, what is happening here on the ground is that the Rafah border has been closed for the past 10 days. Are hopeful that the Egyptian president will work on allowing the humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip.
Noor, thank you very much. Our correspondent Noor Harazin in Gaza. Well, the strike on Al Ahli Hospital came just hours ahead of US President Joe Biden's departure for Israel. He met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv, where he reiterated the United States' support for Israel. Biden says he doesn't believe Israel was responsible for the strike on the hospital, instead claiming it was carried out by what he called the other team. Well, let's talk now to our correspondent in Tel Aviv, Ross Cullen. So, Ross, Joe Biden held talks with the Israeli War Cabinet. What more did they have to say?
Robin, he's talking right now, in fact, Joe Biden speaking for the third time today, and he is saying that there will be $100 million in aid for the Palestinians in Gaza. Didn't say when that would arrive, didn't say what form that would take, because at the moment there's been no opportunity to get aid in. Egypt has said that it has aid at the border, of course, but the Israeli bombing campaign has continued. Other things that Joe Biden is saying just right now, I'm not sure if we can see him in next door, we can go to him live, but he has said that Hamas is pure, unadulterated evil. We're not rationalizing it, recalling the worst atrocities of ISIS. He said, we will not stand by and do nothing again. He said to the families of the hostages, you are not alone. And then he spoke quite movingly about personal loss for people who have lost loved ones, something that he has suffered several times throughout his life. He spoke movingly and said that terrorists might try to bend your will, but they would never break us. He said he was working with partners in the region. He didn't give specifics, understandably, about those conversations, but working with partners in the region to try to release and get the safe return of all the hostages who are currently being held in Gaza after having been abducted by Hamas from here inside Israel on the 7th of October, saying that we will do everything in our power to make sure Israel will become a safe nation for the Jewish people. Again, he reiterated that shock, pain and rage at the atrocities carried out by Hamas here last Saturday, but did also have a message for the Palestinians, as well as that $100 million in aid. Robin saying that the vast majority of the Palestinians are overwhelmingly peaceful people, not aligned with Hamas.
Well, Ross, we have been looking at live pictures of US President Biden giving that press conference, which is ongoing at the moment. He was due then to meet Arab leaders in Jordan, but that's been called off. What's the response been from them?
Yeah, four-way summits with the King of Jordan, the Egyptian president and the Palestinian president, alongside Joe Biden, suddenly called off when Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas pulled out of it immediately after the rocket strike on the hospital in the Gaza Strip yesterday. And that led to the cancellation of the entire summit, with the Jordanian foreign minister saying a little bit earlier on Wednesday that there is no use talking about anything apart from ending the war, but Israel still has its ambitions to, quote, crush and destroy Hamas, wiping it from the face of the earth with that long-expected, widely anticipated ground incursion into the Gaza Strip, which many would see as an escalation or a continuation of this conflict. So there will be further discussions about that ground incursion between the US presidential delegation and the Israeli leadership for clarity on Israel's plans and Israel's objectives in terms of its ongoing IDF operations. But we have also heard, in terms of the Arab leaders, from the Egyptian president meeting the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz today, and Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was saying that Israel should transfer Palestinians temporarily into Israel, into the Negev desert, and then return them to the Gaza Strip, rather than through the lack of water and lack of electricity, pushing them towards perhaps coming here to the Sinai Peninsula. Of course, there's a lot of history between Egypt and Israel related to the Sinai Peninsula. So that is the Egyptian position. They fear that potentially, if you have a lot of the 2.3 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip moving out of the Gaza Strip, they might never go back. And so something that could really impact a two-state solution, future plans for a Palestinian statehood. So that has been the response from Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Egyptian president. We do believe that he could well be meeting the British Foreign Secretary again later today. Lots of diplomacy going on, all related to this extraordinary visit of Joe Biden, the US president, to Israel during this Israel-Hamas conflict.
Ross, thank you. Our correspondent Ross Cullen in Tel Aviv. Russia's Defense Minister Sergei Lavrov has arrived in the DPRK in a visit thought to be setting the stage for a trip to Pyongyang by President Vladimir Putin. Russia's TASS news agency said Lavrov may also brief him on Putin's visit to China. The meeting comes a month after DPRK leader Kim Jong-un made a rare trip to Russia to discuss military cooperation. The Kremlin has dismissed US allegations that Pyongyang is supplying Moscow with weapons for the conflict in Ukraine. Ukraine's military has released a video it says shows the first use of US-supplied long-range missiles. Kyiv said 9 Russian helicopters, anti-air defense and other equipment have been destroyed at 2 Russian-held airfields. President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked the United States, saying the missiles had proved themselves. Russian President Vladimir Putin described the US delivery of long-range missiles as a mistake. As more countries around the world face the reality of an aging workforce, one Chinese company is hoping to give manual workers not just a helping hand, but strength and support. Wearable robotic equipment is attracting orders from outside of China. Our correspondent Liu Jiaxin reports from Bangkok.
A robot that can be worn. Put it on like a vest. You can move as light as a swallow. It's called exoskeleton robot, aiming to assist the human movement with an external force.
Together. Oh, this is impossible for me without this exoskeleton.
The one on my back from a Chinese company has already been presented in many scenarios: manufacturing, logistics, sports rehabilitation, military industry, even as a sci-fi configuration of the Wandering Earth. No wonder it has caught the attention of overseas market. A few months ago, a Thai factory had placed an order.
We have the raw material process, right? We have the heavy material for movement. Our people have limitation. That's why we will find this product for support our factory.
People in manufacturing industries need to repeat this action thousands of times a day. The probability of lumbar muscle strain and shoulder and back injury exceeds 20% in the United States and over 50% in China. People with labor injuries can be as young as 25 years old. After the birth of exoskeleton robots, companies only need to make a trade-off between tens of billions of dollars in work-related injury insurance and the cost of purchasing robots. Just a glance at the grand occasion during the Beijing Robot Conference, I know how interested people are in this new technology.
There are a large number of manual jobs that cannot be replaced by special equipment or full automation and can only rely on people. Nowadays, it's very difficult to recruit people for heavy physical positions. Laborers are getting older, and we hope that exoskeleton robots can empower them and make them work sustainably.
John's idea coincides with Jay, who's been working in the manufacturing industry in Southeast Asian market for decades. After receiving this batch of Chinese products, he not only applied them in his own company, but also introduced his business partners to place orders. He believes that the era of robots has arrived.
Automation is part of our original plan to improve productivity, to reduce the labor cost, to protect our business. It's getting harder and harder to employ a young and energetic labor right now at this time too.
Liu Jiaxin, CGTN, Bangkok.
And that is The World Today. Thanks for watching. We're back with more news at the top of the hour. Coming up next, it's World Insight. For now, from all of the team in London, it's goodbye.
This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.